Welcome to part 3 of the book audit. We're out in the living room now, and these are the 8 cubes, which are forever changing like all my book cubes. But up at the top, I have all my astronomy book, things on Mars, the universe, stars, my lavender, my serpentine sphere, of course, Jack. And no, those aren't horns, those are the kitty clippers. So in that cube, I have a total of 23 books. 13 of them I need to read. 5 are finished, and 5 I have listed as other because they're charts or not read front to back type books. Over here, and I know there are people who would disagree, I have astrology books, which also count in relation to astronomy. And here I have a total of 15 books, 4 that are to be read, 9 that go in the other section, so they're not really books that you read front to back. I have another Anne Stokes, and just to show you some of the other titles in there. And yes, I have one of my astronomy books there because I need to rearrange my cubes. I have this amazing box that I found at Green Earth. Actually, it's where I got the Anne Stokes as well. Really missed that store. And then I have a Capricorn ornament. I think I found that at Green Earth too. So astrology is something that I'd like to get back into. It's not something I've really delved into much. Down here, I have energy work, quantum physics, chemistry, and a book on physics, astronomy, and mathematics that I have yet to read. It's been waiting for probably 20 years. So in here I have things like the work by Lynn McTaggart, The Field, The Intention Experiment. I've read the works by Irvin Laszlo on the Akashic Field and science. So a lot of different ones there. A total of 16 books. I have 8 of them I need to read, and I've read 8. So pretty good in that cube. Then here I have my UFOs, out of the box thinking, Star Wars, my Star Treks are downstairs, a number of the newer books that I found at the thrift store. Well, new to me, but they're from the 1970s. I think some are from the 1980s. So these will be a lot of the reads I'll be talking about in August, September. I have one on crop circles in the back I have yet to read. So in that cube, I have a total of 23 books. 14 are on my TBR, and 9 of them I've read. Going down to the next group of books. First, I have my box with all my different oracle and tarot card decks. These are not the ones I do my regular readings with, but decks that I'll show in another video. The books in the back are channeling work. I'm looking at them. Yeah, pretty much all of them. And this is where my other Dolores Cannon books will be coming. I have her book here on the Third Wave. I've got Jane Roberts, the Seth books. I have a Louise Hay, a couple of Abraham Hicks, and Sinea Roman and Dwayne Packer, as well as I've always said Creon, but it's pronounced Cryon, I believe. And The Journey is a new one to me. So in that cube, I have 11 books, 5 I need to read, and 6 that I've read. My next cube is a combination of my childhood books. I've done a reading of The Kitten's Voyage before, and yes, this book is older than most of the people watching this video, because I'm 61 and I read this probably when I was 5, a week or two ago. So I have my different fairy tale books here. I've got my Canadian humor, my Stuart McLean CDs, Rick Mercer, Mark Critch, and then a couple more of my books from childhood, the Grimm's fairy tales I'd been reading from that I may get back to reading at some point. I think I'm going to do ghost stories for a little bit. And this is another cool item that I found at Green Earth, just different shapes and beautiful paperweight. That cube has 18 books, 10 that I need to read, 8 that I've read. Down in the bottom cubes, I have my Time Life series. These are Mysteries of the Unknown. There are 22 books altogether. I need to read 21, and I've read one of them. I did that as a buddy read with Read by Fred. We did the UFO phenomena. In this cube, I've got a mishmash. My Jules Verne collection, I've read all of those. My H.G. Wells collection, I've read all of those. Couple of craft books. I have my Mysteries of Space and Time, a set that I lucked into as it was going to be a discard. That cube has 35 books. I have 25 of them to read. I've read 10. Then we head over to these shelves that used to have my Da Vinci books all packed in there. Now it's all fictional books. It's changed a bit since I've counted it, because I've added Frost and Starlight with the rest of the Akatar series here. I notice I've got Magicians of the Gods there, which is non-fiction, but pretty much everything else here are the fictional reads. I've got my King Lear back there. The Keening by Margaret Pinard. Some of you may know her. I've Talondora's Guest by Charles McGarry, the inspiration for doing this book video. Thank you so much, Chaz. And I also have permission from Chaz to read from Talondora's Guest, so I'll be doing that soon on Fridays. I also have someone else that people may know here, Nicole Brona. Nicole given me permission to read from book 1 of The Midnight Detective Agency. Excellent series if you haven't read it yet. And of course I have a number of other books here. I've got one of my Dresden Files up here. I have the others in the back. I've already mentioned Akatar and my Anne Rice Vampire Chronicles. And of course, Michael McDowell's Blackwater, one of my favorite authors for sure. When I originally did the count, and before I added some of the books here, I had 30 books on the top, 19 that were to be read, 12 that I'd already finished. On the bottom, I have 40 books. I have a number of other books in the back there, the Dresden Files, The Mayfair Witches by Anne Rice, and a few others. So a total of 40 books in there, 14 that I need to read, which isn't bad because I read 25 of them already. The last part to include for the book audit in the living room, my to read box, which has changed since I did the original count, and it changes by the week as I finish or add books. I originally had 16 books in there, 9 that I needed to read, and 7 that I'd already read once, so they were rereads. In this cube, I have mostly my nature books. I have my bird book, book on Scotland, different books on climate and plants, and I also keep my overflow from the box in there. When I originally did the count, there are 26 books, 16 that I need to read, 4 that I've finished, and 6 that come in the other category. So obviously I'm not going to read Birds of North America front to back. There are a few on gardening that are more a reference versus a read front to back. The next cube, which took some of the overflow, and now I know Macbeth needs to go with King Lear over on the other shelves. Some of these books you've seen from my other video because I had them all piled on the desk. So here I have Spirit of the Wildcat, continuing on with the theme of nature. I've got Rocks and Minerals. That's not a to-read book, it's reference. Shamanic work, earth medicine, earth acupuncture, DMT, the spirit molecule, which I really do want to read. That involves research that has been done about some of the people who see aliens and other things. Tree wisdom, I want to connect that in with my Celtic tree book, but for now it's here. My Edgar Allan Poe, one of the 3 collections that I have of his work, my old Sky News magazines that I want to go through, and my Aleister Crowley box set. So it's a bit of a mishmash. Here I have a butterfly guide and notes for astronomical observations. So when I counted up that cube originally, there were 15 books, 11 that I need to read, 3 that I'd finished, and 1 being the Rocks and Minerals. That's a reference book rather than a read front to back. The very last cube, which is again a bit of a mishmash. So I have the Harry Potter commentary books, Folk and Fairy Tale. That's a book on courses about folk and fairy tales. I have my John Wyndham's book on sorcerers, fantasy and science fiction. Then I also have the Iliad and the Odyssey, Sherlock Holmes collection, volume 1 and 2, which I need to read, and a few other reads in there, a couple of photo albums, the Divergent series, which is waiting to go back downstairs. I still need to finish Brave New World. I started it in November 2024 and just haven't been able to get back to it. I have Alive, which will be a reread, and the Book of Awesome, which is basically something you just kind of read a few things at a time if you need a chuckle or a giggle. That cube, when I did the original count, 21 books, 11 I need to read, 9 that I have read. The box, which is always changing, and I've added in some of the new books. I've just started Anatomy of a Phenomena. I've got Lovecraft, Mysterious Canada, a few of the Da Vinci reads, and other reads for book events. I have Steering by Starlight, which I'll be rereading in the next day or two. When I'm looking to start something new or something I need to finish, this is the box I go to first, so it keeps changing back and forth. That's why the number keeps changing. Now for the grand totals. How did I do with my book audit overall? I started out with pages like this as I went through and counted all of them and figured out which were the books to read, which were references and resources. Then I broke it down to this, and the final totals, and no guarantees, there may not be some errors. Just before I recorded this, I had to retally things, and like I've said, math is not my thing. Reading, letters, I'm good. Mathing, not so much. But the grand totals, so with the workroom that I'm sitting in, I have 195 books to read out of a total of 488. The living room and my bookcase downstairs, which had 70 books, 45 on my TBR, and those are all fictions. So I have 449 books to read. So out of everything, this room, the living room, the bookcase downstairs, I have 449 books to read. out of a total of 1,101. The upside is I've read 652 books from my own collection. That means I still have 41% to go. I think I'm going to leave this sticky somewhere. So the next time I decide to go book shopping, I'm just going to remind myself, no, I have lots to read. There are a lot of books I want to borrow from the library. Unless it's an amazing deal, I'm good for now. Thanks so much to Chaz for this great idea of doing a book audit. It's certainly helped me. I'll be keeping all my notes in my book binder where I keep my master list and getting other things organized with my books. Let me know in the comments down below, have you done a book audit? Have you read most of the books that you own? I found it really helpful in terms of reacquainting myself with all the different genres I have available, figuring out how to best organize some of the books, and it really was a fun thing. Even though I found out I own way more books than I thought. And that's not a bad problem to have, quite frankly. Until next time, remember, be safe, be well, big hugs, and happy reading.